Good evening, students. How are you? Good evening, Vansh, Akshay. Good evening. Let me check on the YT also. Give me a second. Saturday, high on energy or low on energy? Students, good evening. Shakti Raj, Jyoti, good evening. Good to see high on energy, Shakti. Anyone else feeling low on energy because of the weekend, because of Saturday, because of coming festivals? Nivedita, good evening. Now, cyber security is covered in which paper of the UPSC mains? Can anyone tell me? Cyber security. Where is it covered? GS3, good. In security part of the syllabus. And this is one of the very important topic. You know why? Have you looked at the PYQs of UPSC mains examination? Can you see how frequently the questions have appeared on cyber security? And what are the recent cybersecurity threats that the common people like you and I are facing? Tell me. Yes, Ari, good evening. Shivam, Pranam. Digital arrest, good. Anything else? UPI fraud. They also, through fraudulent means, they also try to change your mobile SIM. Money laundering is not a cyber security problem, Chanu. Identity theft. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. They might even clone your SIM cards. In case they are able to clone your SIM cards, the OTP, etc., that you're getting on your phone, the cyber criminals would also get it. So don't you think this is a very big problem, cyber crimes? And how to ensure protection against cyber crime is a very big issue. Agree with me or not? Phishing is a good cyber security threat. Good, Chanu. Understood? So suppose a question comes on cyber security, or especially relating to cyber threats. How would you start your question? What would be your introduction? Tell me. If a question is there in front of you, how would you start that question? Why do you think instances of cyber crime is increasing? Any idea why instances of cyber crime is increasing? Does it mean that 10 years before cyber crimes did not used to happen? Yes. First tell me, why is it increasing? How would you start your answer? You will start your answer by saying that the people who are using internet, they themselves are increasing, right? And the best fact that you can start with is saying that over 86% of households in India, they are connected via the internet. That is 970 million internet users in India. Add to that total of 1.2 billion mobile subscribers. So when number of people, they are using the internet increases, so don't you think the amount of cyber security problems, the amount of cyber threats would also increase? So this is your first fact that you can start with your answer. But you also need to collaborate this fact with increasing number of cyber security threats. So you can say that cyber security incidences have increased from 10.29 lakh in 2022 to 22.68 lakhs as per CERT-in data. So in 2 years only, you can see this has increased by 2.2 times. Or you can use this fact that from 2022 to 2024, the amount of cyber security incidences have increased more than twice. So this shows that, first of all, number of people using internet are increasing, and I've corroborated this fact directly with increasing instances of cyber security. Right? So these two facts are very important. Please remember it. Okay? Digital literacy, etc. are problems that you are going to answer in the body section of your answer, not in the introduction. In introduction, you'll straight away give a fact and you'll prove that fact in your answers. Understood this? Now let us see what is important. Now these kind of, most of the time in exams, particularly in mains examination, they won't ask you what are different types of cyber threat, because these have been going on for multiple years. So this is not a new development. What is a new development that you'll have to find out in your classes? Legal framework, institutional mechanisms, also old. So the chances of this coming again is less. Not that it is not possible for this to come again. This is less probable to come. What is important is the key initiatives and portals that the government has established to protect people from cyber crimes. Let me increase the zoom on this so that you can see clearly, okay? Now, what are important initiatives by the government? First is National Cyber Crime Portal, which allows citizens to report crimes online, and it specially focuses on more vulnerable section, that are women and children. Similarly, government has started a helpline 1930, which provides immediate financial fraud response. So suppose money is getting deducted from your account without your authorization. So what is your first kind of response? Your first kind of response is to block transactions from your mobile number or from your bank account, right? So for this helpline would come in handy. It allows you to respond and file a complaint immediately, right? And there is a system established by RBI which has saved bank more than 5 crore rupees from fraudulent transfers. Similarly, another portal is Samanvay platform, which helps in analytics-based criminal linkages mapping. And it has led to so many thousands of arrests and so many kinds of linkages. What happens in a cyber fraud? Do you think if a bank or money is deducted from your account, it goes just to one account? No, right? It goes to multiple accounts one by one. So that linkages of account used by cyber criminals is very important if the law enforcement authorities have to take an action. And also there is a Sahyog portal, which is a centralized platform for removing unlawful online content, and SciTrain portal, which trains law enforcement officers about measures of cyber security. So all of these initiatives are very important. You will use them in your answer writing. Okay? Any doubts up till now? Now, what is the challenges in cyber security? Now start telling me. What are challenges associated with cyber security in India? Why isn't this such an easy thing to ensure? Tell me one by one. Don't look at the board. Tell me what you know already. I want to see. Lack of digital literacy, one good aspect. But it is a very general aspect, so everybody would write this. How would you ensure that your answer is of better quality than others? No, not ethical hackers. You know, the first problem why law can't catch up with cyber criminals is the continuous evolving nature of cyber security. Cyber security, or the domain of cyberspace, always ensures that the people who are building new technology, they'll be one step ahead as compared to law enforcement authorities. And this is because of rising scale of attacks and highly sophisticated style of attacks. Right? So there is a possibility that you might receive a call from your father and your father might say that please transfer him 1 lakh rupees. But originally when you ask your father would say I never called you. So this shows that cyber criminals are using AI, deepfake, to mimic the voice of your parents, to mimic the voice of your friends, to mimic the voice of your colleagues. So how would a law enforcement authority tackle that? Second problem is limited cyber literacy. Yes, people are increasingly using internet day by day, but has their technological awareness increased? Most probably not. Right? Another one is the fragmented institutional coordination. Now you need to understand law and order is primary responsibility of which government? Yes, Chanu, good answer. Law and order is the primary responsibility of which organization? Not center, state government. पुलिस किसके अंडर आता है? Which government? State government. And you understand, na, there is a possibility that suppose you're living in West Bengal, the cyber criminals may be living in different state. So your primary complaint would go to the West Bengal police. But can West Bengal police take an action against a criminal who might be living in another state? Quite difficult for that to ensure. Right? So the institutional coordination is very fragmented. You have different state polices in their respective jurisdiction. Then overlooking authority is a central government institution which directly does not have jurisdiction to tackle law and order problems. And we also know that local policemen who might be deputed near the thana or the police station under which your home comes, they probably won't be aware of how to deal with cyber crimes. Right? And for implementing cyber security situations by companies, suppose you have a private internet provider, right? And to ensure cyber security, that private internet provider needs to ensure import of costly equipments. So cost is another factor. They might not import costly equipments. So cost is another prohibitive factor. Understood this? So these are the challenges associated with why you can't ensure cyber security. Now, what is the way forward? Exactly opposite of the problems, you'll write the way forward. What should be the way forward? Tell me. You guys should tell me. What is the way forward? Public awareness, okay. One more thing. Many things basically you're missing out on. Yes, good Baga. Santana, hi, good evening. Law is not a solution. Implementation is the solution. Law already exists. No law in India says cybercrime is not a crime. First, you have to ensure integrated cyber security governance. Then you have to boost cyber awareness and you have to use examples like Cyber Suraksha Jan Andolan. Without this example, your point of increasing cyber awareness would fetch you very less marks. Coordination with international agencies. International cooperation is very important. Not just Interpol, but the law and order authorities of different countries. Yes, international coordination. Good Chanu, good Shakti. Only Chanu and Shakti are answering. What about others? You can also write case study of Telangana. This would give your answer much higher weightage. That this is a very good example. You can implement this example in different states also. Understood? Any doubts? Now read this context. I will increase the size so that it becomes easier. During the UN General Assembly speech, you know what Donald Trump said? Yes, good Shakti Raj, R&D in data security. Donald Trump basically dismissed the claim that climate change is a problem. Is Donald Trump right or is Donald Trump wrong? Why he is wrong? Why is he wrong? Zaid, Akshay, Kritika. You know, before 1980s, climate change started to happen, you know. But major developed countries, including US, they were dismissing this claim that climate change is not an issue. You know why? Because there was no data that was available which would corroborate the claims highlighted by people who were saying that climate change is a problem. So for that, have you heard of this body? International Panel for Climate Change. Now, if I say cyber crimes are increasing, will you believe me? No, probably not. But if I give you a fact that these many cyber crimes have happened, now you have to believe me. So for any claim, data is very important. And earlier, UN or any other body did not have an agency that provided them with data specially meant for changes with respect to weather patterns. And for that, IPCC was set up. You know what IPCC does? Can anyone tell me what is the responsibility of IPCC? IPCC क्या करता है? That is very important first of all. Does it collect data? Does it have researchers? Does it undertake any own study? Yes, it brings report on climate change. But is it based on its own study? Does IPCC do research? IPCC does not conduct its own research. Rather, different levels data are provided by different organizations to IPCC. What IPCC does is that it collects data which is provided by others and gives an analysis report. So you can understand from my perspective, do I collect the news myself? No. What I rely on are on other sources like Hindu, like Indian Express, like PIB, and I give you analysis of that information. So I am like IPCC. I'm not going in other parts of the country and collecting news for you to give you your daily sessions, right? Understood this analogy? So IPCC basically collates different information and gives its analysis based on that information. So if the question comes, is IPCC conducting its own research? The answer would be no. Am I collecting the news myself? No. I'm basing my analysis on the information provided by different sources. Understood this analogy? Now, how do you think IPCC, based on existing information, would analyze what is going to happen in the future? How is that possible? Scientifically, tell me. Anyone? बताओ बताओ, ऐसे वन वे से क्लास नहीं चलेगा. Yes. By using computer simulation, and the computer itself, it's running different models, mathematical models, computer-based simulations. So yes, this article appeared on climate modeling. Now you have to understand one very important thing. This is a UPSC exam. And the subject itself is called as general studies. So you won't go into detail how the models are prepared. You just would understand the basics of what constitutes a model. So what do you think constitutes a model? To understand a model, you'll have to fix a particular area based on which you'll collect many informations, and using that information, you'll make a computer program that will help you simulate what is going to happen in the future. This is what you need to understand. इसके अलावा or deeper than that is everything immaterial, because this is not a technical exam. This is a general exam. The subject itself says general studies. Okay? So these models are run on which kind of computers? Your normal mobile phones and PCs? No. These are run on very high performing computers, supercomputers. Understood? Now tell me, what do you think would be the problems associated with these climate models? Tell me. How do this work? You'll just read it, okay? Now, what is the problem associated with the climate model? Tell me. Data accuracy, funding, very difficult to solve difficult equations, local variation, good Chanu. Now suppose to prepare a global model, I would need a bigger set of area. So I can't divide entire globe in these areas of say 10 kilometers or 100 kilometers square. So whatever area or the least count or the minimum area for which I can prepare a model globally would be based on a larger area. Any problem associated with larger area modeling that you can think of? Now, climate change, you all know, is a very localized event, right? So, suppose climate change may lead to very intensive rainfall in one part of the district, or whereas other part of that particular state won't witness as brutal a rainfall. So, climate change or any weather phenomena is a very localized event. And this can be seen with differences of say 10, 20 square kilometers. So, if I prepare a climate model which has a minimum area of 500 square kilometers, I won't be able to find out local variations. This is one big problem. Another problem is data gap. Now, do you think the kind of data that might be coming from Africa would be as precise as a data coming from US or a data coming from China or a data coming from India? Would it be true? Tell me. Is Africa having the same ability to weather its model or to find its weather patterns as compared to a developed or a developing country? No, right? And this would create a problem of developed versus developing. Developed countries themselves would have a very good data, so their models will be much perfect as compared to the models coming from lesser developed countries. Right? So these are two biggest problems. Second is the climate change itself is a very complex phenomena. So even if you are using one of the most powerful supercomputers, which we already do, the chances is that your model won't be perfect. It would be good, but it won't be perfect. It won't be able to analyze each and every changes that might happen in the future because of the sheer unpredictability of the climate change phenomena. And therefore, you will have to depend on many assumptions which may or may not prove true later on. Another angle to is the global south challenge. This is the best part or the best analysis. First of all, models are very powerful, but their accuracy and usefulness are unevenly distributed. As I told you, most of these models are developed using the data coming from the more developed countries, and therefore they won't have as good a reliability for data or for an analysis done for developing or lesser developed countries. Similarly, the region in which we live, Indian subcontinent, the weather pattern itself is very complex. So the chances of models mirroring this complexity would be less. Another problem. So these are the problems that you have to understand. Any doubt? So will you go into technical details of climate modeling? Will you rectify each and every technical aspect of climate modeling? Students, ASB, what will you do? What did I tell you, Shakti Raj? What did I tell you just now? Do you have to remember what one model does, what another model doesn't? Is this a technical exam? Is this India Environmental Service exam? No. You are going to be generally aware of this issue. Good Shivam, good Shakti Raj. Now, whenever any river is in news, what do you think is important from UPSC perspective? UPSC prelims mein, if a question comes on river, on what facts do you think UPSC would ask you a question? Yes, right? So let me write it. What will be the facts that you will study? First is the origin of that river. Second is the states through which it flows. Third, where does this river end? Or in which water body does it drain? Another aspect, good Shivam. Tributaries. It is a tributary of which river, or what are the tributaries of this river? Not necessarily species. Just go and look at the PYQ. You'll see questions on the tributaries of Brahmaputra, tributaries of Godavari. Similarly, in history question also, they ask you a question relating to which are important cities. So this is also important, mostly from history point of view. Now, when I used to go to UPSC, I had ignored ancient and medieval history because समझ नहीं आता था मुझे. So I had prepared economy, polity and geography quite well so that I was sorted when it came to clearing prelims, and I used to clear prelims every time. So you know what one question appeared on medieval history. I had no idea about that question. Then I saw that question was on the Vijayanagar kingdom. I had no idea about Vijayanagar kingdom because I had not studied. But then one statement of that question said that Hampi is near some other river. But I remembered the city of Hampi, the river Tungabhadra flows through it. So that statement I was able to eliminate, and hence the answer was right in front of me. Right? So these are the kind of facts that you'll have to take care of whenever an important river appears in the news. And today we are going to deal with Yamuna river. Now tell me, Yamuna is a tributary of which river? Not tributaries of Yamuna. Yamuna is a tributary of which river? It should be easy. Ganga. And where does Ganga and Yamuna meet? कहां मिलन होता है दोनों का? Where does these two meet? In the city of Prayagraj. Sangam. Good. So this all you know. Where does Yamuna originate? Any idea? Yes, very easy to remember. Yamunotri. Where is Yamunotri located? Which state? Uttarakhand. Now, why is this Sangam called as Triveni Sangam? Any idea? The Sangam in Prayagraj is called as Triveni Sangam. Why Triveni Sangam? Because I told you Ganga and Yamuna are meeting. So, Triveni or three kahan se ho gaya? Which is the third river? The river Saraswati, the ancient river that does not flow anymore. It is expected that this river also used to meet Ganga and Yamuna in Prayagraj. And Yamuna happens to be the largest tributary of Ganga. Now, how do we divide tributaries of a river? What is the right way of remembering any tributary of a river? Left bank, right bank. Right? What are left bank tributaries? Tons, Hindon, Kali, Sasur and Khanderi. What are right bank tributaries? Chambal, Sindh, Kane, Betwa. Any idea why Kane and Betwa is important? Kane Betwa river linking. Good, Shakti Raj. We'll cover it later on whenever that news comes. So this is what you'll remember about Yamuna River. Now the Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change has presented India Vision 2025-2028, where a national red list assessment at the IUCN World Conference is going to go on. So why do you think is India preparing a national red list when there is another red list prepared by IUCN? So why do you think we need a red list? जब एक already है. First, let us talk about IUCN, okay? IUCN currently is headquartered in Switzerland. One good thing to remember, headquarters of major bodies. You know why? Now, most of the global bodies, they are headquartered in beautiful locations. Switzerland, Austria, UK, US, France. You'd very little hear an agency headquartered in, say, Nairobi or an agency headquartered in, say, Uganda. They are always headquartered in good countries. One good thing to remember. So whenever you'll see a body headquartered in not so good locality, you'd automatically remember this. Okay? Have you heard of this organization? World Food Program or International Food Organization? Where do you think the problem that this agency caters to? Which continent do you think this agency caters to most of its work? Hunger kahan problem hai? In Africa. And you know where these two agencies are headquartered? Rome. So this is a kind of discrimination that most of the important organizations do. And you know, one of the major places where most of the organizations or most of the countries have their presence is in Vienna, Austria. You know why most of the countries have presence in Vienna? It has to do with geography of Austria. Austria is located right at the area where there was the difference between West and East. So Austria, when it has presence of major global bodies, don't you think countries would post their diplomats in it? Not for tax related purposes. Anyway, international organizations are not subjected to taxation by local governments. They could have been established anywhere, but why Austria? Because Austria is located in a particular geographical spot of Europe which sits right at the middle of intersection that was of West and East. And when countries are posting their diplomats, they can also post their intelligence operatives under the garb of diplomatic work. So Austria is called as intelligence hub of the world. Similarly, there's also an intelligence hub in Asia. Any idea where is it located? Which is Asia's intelligence hub? You'll be surprised to know if I tell you. No, it's not in India. Not Afghanistan. Kathmandu. Now बहुत हो गया ये सब. Let's just come back to IUCN. Now, what does IUCN do? Where do you hear IUCN frequently? Where do you hear IUCN frequently? IUCN comes up with a red list which tells you how threatened a species might be. Right? So it categorizes species into these categories. Understood? Now my question to you all is, when IUCN is already listing them under their red list, so why India needs its own separate red list? Why do we need our own separate list? Why is government doing something which has already been done on a global scale? Why local focus is needed? Now suppose a species is categorized into vulnerable category by IUCN. So the possibility is that this species or the presence of this species might be more than 1,000 or more than 5,000 globally, the number of the species, right? But there is also possibility that this species is available in very less numbers in India. So don't you think we need a kind of a list that tells you about the threat to that species, particularly in India? Yes, regional variation. Very good, Chanu. Good, Akshay. Good, Satish. Don't you think we need that? So this is the exact reason why government is providing its own red list. First of all, government will conduct a comprehensive assessment of existing extinction risk of species available in India, and based on this assessment, it will prepare a national red list. The original intention of this is to establish a nationally coordinated, participatory and upgradable red listing system which truly reflects the conservation status of that species in India. And it will also align with global goals set up by different organizations. Who is going to implement that? No need to guess. Union Ministry of Environment. And it will also collaborate with important agencies, Botanical Survey of India, Zoological Survey of India, and many NGOs and non-profit institutions. Understood this? Any doubts? So from this discussion, what is important? Tell me. What is important from this discussion? क्या याद रखोगे इस डिस्कशन से, इस वाले आर्टिकल से? Why India needs it? Another thing, which ministry is implementing it and with cooperation of which organizations it is implementing it. Similarly, you'll also remember where is IUCN headquartered, what is the work of IUCN, and what are different categories of red list. Okay? Well, Environment Ministry in cooperation with these organizations would collect the data themselves. And who will provide them the data? The state forest departments. Because state forest department has this kind of data of what species are available in where. But isko collate, who would collate it? Who would put this all data together? Ministry of Environment. Well, Botanical Survey of India, as the name suggests, is responsible for plants. Zoological Survey of India, as the name suggests, is responsible for animals. But we need a total biodiversity data, right? Not just relating to plants and animals. Now, what are bank guarantees? What are bank guarantees? Any idea? What are bank guarantees? Have you heard of this term? Security it provides to whom? Not collateral. Sorry, Shivam. Bank must be guaranteeing something. What is it guaranteeing? Not loan lenders, not FD. Financial assurance, but for what? Have you heard of this body? क्या करती है ये body? What does it do? This organization is responsible for making national highways in India. Do you think NHAI prepares every road itself? It involves the services of private contractors also. Right? So private contractors or NHAI might outsource this work of making highways to a private contractor. Right? In public-private partnership, good. Now, what are the terms and conditions that NHAI might impose on private contractors? It might say that there is a time limit on you until when you'll have to complete the project. There is also a restriction that this is the kind of quality of road that you'll have to make. Right? Now, when this agency is not able to meet, or this private contractor is not able to meet this deadline, what do you think NHAI imposes on them? NHAI would ask these organizations to pay monetary fines. Right? Now, there is also possibility that the payment of this services would be given after the completion. Right? So, how would this organization execute the project? It needs money itself. For first of all executing the project, it needs to have money to pay fines later on, or it needs to show that I have money that I can pay you fine later on. And it needs to show that yes, I have money to execute this project. Understood? Now, there are two ways it can ensure the money. First of all, it can keep money in its bank account itself, separate, so as to give NHAI a guarantee that yes, I have a money. Or it can furnish, or it can take the services of a bank, and bank would give a guarantee to NHAI that in case if they fail to pay you money, I will have, or I will compensate you for the money that they are going to pay. And this is what a bank guarantee is. Understood? Bank is guaranteeing that if private contractor fails to pay the required money to the government, bank would compensate the government instead. This is a kind of an insurance. Understood what is bank guarantee? Anyone has a doubt? You can ask me right now. मेरा गला बैठा जा रहा है चीख चीख के. I don't know why I shout coming here. So what is the benefit of bank guarantee? Any idea? क्या फायदा हो रहा है प्राइवेट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को when it is subscribing to the services of bank for giving it a guarantee? You know it's a business for the bank, but why private contractor would take this service? It reduces the need of the private company to maintain separate funds, and it can use these funds to grow its business, to execute more projects. It unlocks the fund that the contractors would rather have to pay or keep otherwise. Understood why contractor would take the help of bank? For its future business growth. Good. What are e-bank guarantees? Basically guarantees provided via digital medium. Okay. Nothing else. Ye guarantee you can give it in paper form or you can give it in digital form. Digital form, it is called as e-bank guarantee. Nothing else to remember. And it is done through a portal where they can also keep them in a repository. So this is like a collateral that the private company would give to a bank. Understood? Yes, ASB, I understood. The public would lose money in case contractor defaults. So contractor needs to have an arrangement so as to ensure that the required fine is paid by someone else in case I default. Good, ASB. Now another topic, Green Wall Initiative. Where is this Green Wall Initiative being built? In Africa. Why do you need this initiative in Africa? Green Wall Initiative, can anyone tell me? Why do we need this in Africa? Stop desertification. Good. Restore the degraded land. And where is it being implemented? Sahel region. Which is the Sahel region? Region starting from Senegal in the west, ending in Eritrea and Djibouti in the east of Africa. So basically, this area where there is high amount of desertification. And it extends to how many countries? 11 African countries, from Senegal to Djibouti. Objectives, this is important, restore 100 million hectares of degraded land, which would help sequester so much carbon dioxide. It would additionally create jobs and enhance food security. Understood? Now we have covered this topic multiple times. Why do you think we need a separate air defense system for drones? Tell me. I'm not going to say anything. Well, yes, they are a very poor nation, but don't you think they should do anything to come out of poverty? Why do we need a separate air defense system for drones? Why can't existing S-400s Akash deal with drones? They can't deal with drones. First is the ability to track drones. You know why? The existing air defenses system, which S-400 and Akash systems use, is that they have an ability, or their expertise is to track fast moving targets. Their expertise is to track targets which fly much higher in the height, right? And drones, they fly much lower to the ground. So tracking them using the existing air defense infrastructure is difficult. Similarly, existing air defense structure to destroy the target utilize missile systems. And missiles we know are very expensive. Now let us suppose Pakistan sends 100 drones towards your airbase. First of all, availability of 100 missiles to destroy those 100 drones is difficult. Even if you have 100 missiles, let us suppose, destroying them won't be cost effective. Those drones might be few thousands, few lakhs of rupees, and your missiles would cost, one missile would cost several crores of rupees. And also that if they send another batch of 100 drones, you won't have many more missiles left to destroy them. So this would overwhelm your existing air defense system. So tracking and destroying is difficult in existing circumstances. Trafficking because of low flying abilities of drone, and destroying because of the cost effectiveness. Similarly, another requirement is needed for anti-drone system, that is to protect your infantry. Now suppose in a situation if our army enters into POK, which it will, right? Suppose our army enters into POK. So technically that division, if it is moving into POK, that will be vulnerable from aerial attacks conducted by drones. So how would you protect those drones if they are, you are moving your infantry inside enemy's territory? Because your S-400, your Akash systems, their radars might not be mobile, their radars might be fixed on the ground. So in that case also you need a moving system that would protect your advancing infantry. This is another dimension to it. And for that, Army in cooperation with Bharat Electronics Limited, they have developed what is known as Saksham anti-missile systems, and this is specifically designed to counter drones. And to make it cost effective, it also utilizes hard kill targets, that is kinetic destruction through missiles, but it also has soft kill option, that it can jam or spoof the signals of existing drones. So therefore it is more cost effective. One more angle that I have not discussed. One more angle is the immediate response the missile system needs to give. Now existing anti-aircraft missile systems, they are first of all fragmented and they respond based on controls given by a human. But when very high number of drones are approaching, you need an autonomous system that uses facilities like AI to detect the target and order the missile system to automatically destroy the target without or with minimum needs of human intervention. So this is another benefit of it. It is having AI-driven threat analysis system which enables faster and quicker decision making. Understood this? Not Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra is different. This is different. This is a particular system. Sudarshan Chakra is a blanket system. And this has been developed. Sudarshan Chakra is in conceptual stage. वो भी बनेगा, सब बनेगा. Everything will be made one by one. Don't worry. Now one more thing is remaining. Nobel Prize for Literature. Before understanding Nobel Prize for Literature, you need to understand something. How many of you know this concept in Indian movies? Angry young man. How many of you know this concept in Indian movies? किसको बोला जाता था ये? Yes, good Akshay, good analogy. Drones are like ants, air defense are like hathi. Amitabh Bachchan. What was the theme associated with angry young man? One theme is that this person used to have a poor upbringing. He did not get job opportunities. And therefore, he used to do illegal things. But why this idea was a hit in Indian cinema? This is Nobel Prize for Literature, not peace. I am telling you something, just follow my reasoning. I'll tell you why it is important for Nobel Prize of Literature. Why this idea was hit in India? Suppose even if Amitabh Bachchan was doing illegal things in the movie, why did people sympathize with Amitabh Bachchan? Why was he a hero and not a villain in the movie? Because people themselves were facing the problem that the hero was facing in the movie. When this movie became a hit? In 1960s and 1970s. This concept originated in 1960s and 70s, and you know, India at that time was facing many hardships. So people themselves were facing this problem. They were having a poor upbringing. They were having little to no job opportunities. Therefore, people, even if they were not involved in illegal things, they used to resonate why hero was doing illegal things. Why? To support his family, to support his own food security, right? So my point of this discussion is art in any region mirrors the problems of that situation, and only those art resonates with the people which would feel what is the context of the situation. Why do you think movies are being made on Gen Zs today? Because who is the major consumer today? Gen Zs. So Gen Z movies, even if you don't like it, most of the people in Indian society would like it. Because that mirrors the existing Indian society. Angry Young Man society movies, they were made at the time when India was facing similar problems. So they used to forget about their problems seeing this movie, and very like whenever hero used to beat the villain. So first of all, it provided them the mirror of the society. It resonated with them emotionally. And when hero committed action, they used to think that yes, even if we are not able to do, this is what everybody wanted to do. Right? Similarly, this author who has been given the award belongs to the country Hungary. Any idea Hungary was part of which coalition before? Not that before. In after World War II. Hungary for a longer period of time was under communist rule. Not a part of USSR, but it was under communist rule. Right? And what came with communism? What came with communism? Money or less money, or poverty? Prosperity or poverty? Poverty. So don't you think if he has been given an award for literature, don't you think in a Hungarian society, his literature would also mirror the problems with Hungarian society? So he wrote philosophical novels about human suffering and pursuit of meaning in a chaotic world. He wrote, his breakthrough novel was about a decaying Hungarian village. Right? So this is why any art is important. Do you have to remember each and every of the work? No. You'll have to remember why he has been given this award. This kind of a broader question would be put in front of you in interview, so that they would test how aware of you about the problems affecting Indian society or problems affecting any society. Understood? ऐसे ही चेक करते हैं. They check you like this in interview. They check your personality, not how much facts you know. Facts anyone can remember, but how will you inculcate this kind of critical analysis? Now one announcement. In Monday, I have an event here at 5. So the classes would be 1 hour prior. That the classes only on Monday would be from 3:30 to 4:30. Rest all days, the usual time 4:30 to 5:30. Okay? So have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see each other on Monday at 3:30. Bye-bye.